What is up? So this week I did another climb to Diamond 1, starting from the bottom rank on one of my other accounts. And this time I used Labrynth. So Labrynth is a very different type of deck from the types of decks that I normally play. Usually I play like more combo heavy decks, Drytron, Emancipator, and whatnot, Speedroids, stuff that you saw on my channel. But this time I wanted to play a more control style deck, and this one's actually a trap deck. Usually I hate trap decks, but this one actually requires quite a bit of skill. Unlike Eldritch, it's not just like flip skill drain and extend handshake. You actually have to think about what you're doing because the deck requires a usage of normal traps. And now getting into the deck profile, I got pretty lucky with my Royal Rares, thankfully. I crafted a Royal Imperm, Royal Extra, Royal Trap Trick, and I already had a Royal Zeus from before, which is pretty sick. Has nothing to do with the deck profile, but just wanted to point that out. Anyways, I'm playing a clean 40 cards. This is a trap deck. There's really no reason to play more than that. I did adjust a lot of these ratios around many times during the climb. I did some of it on stream, most of it on stream, but then some of it off stream, and I made a lot of different changes. I encountered a shit ton of Runicks, and then also like Swordsoul, Despia, Emancipators, and yeah, I just made changes depending on what I was running into the most. I think this deck has actually a pretty good matchup against Runicks compared to other decks, though the matchup against combo decks going second is quite rough. That's one of the big weaknesses of this deck. But I did put in some cards to compensate for that with Ash and Imperm. So going into the main deck, let's go from the Labrynth monsters. So the main one is Ariana. This is your best starter. It's really the only good normal summon in the deck. When it's normal summon, you can, or special summon, you can add a Labrynth card from your deck to your hand. So depending on whether you have the field spell or not, you either search that or the trap generally. Sometimes you want to search these guys, which allow you to set either of these directly from deck. It has another effect, but you can only use one of the effects per turn. And it lets you draw one and then use special summon Fiend monster if another monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect. So that's pretty much the gimmick of this deck, is they have effects that activate when a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect. This triggers on your own monsters as well, which is very important. Sometimes you're going to use like compulsory evacuation device on your own monster just to activate your own effects. It's very it's just part of the skill that comes with this deck. Up next we have Ariane, the Ariane, Labyrinth Servant. This card is a lot worse than Ariana. It doesn't do anything on normal summon, but you can set a normal trap from your hand, or that's set to special summon a level 4 or lower fiend from your deck in defense. This is kind of mid, because the fact that you have to discard one of your normal traps is not good. It's kind of a minus. It has the other effect, which is the same as Ariana, which is when like a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect. You can draw one and then special summon a fiend or set a spell trap directly from your hand. So this card is, yeah, kind of bad. I would not play more than one, but it's not terrible at the same time. I think like the ability to have like a one card rank 4 is also just nice in some situations, so I would still play the one. Then we have Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle. This is your boss monster currently. There is another boss monster that's even better than this card that's going to be released at some point in the future, but for now this is the one that we have. This card is still very good. I'm playing 2 of it. I think you definitely have to play 2. One is just like asking to be banished by the runic spells, since there's so many of them on ladder. There's so many times where I came up where one of them got banished, but having the second one saved me. I don't think I would play 3 though, because it can be like clunky. So if you do draw it, you can still special summon it from your hand off of the field spell or one of your monster effects. So yeah, basically what this card does is if another monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect, which is like the same activation condition, you can non-targeting destroy a card on your opponent's field or in their hand, which is like really powerful, obviously. And the other effect is also insane. Like during your turn, it's a slow effect, but you could target any normal trap in your graveyard and set it to your field. This allows you to recycle stuff like Dimensional Barrier, which is like huge against like Swordsoul, for example. Being able to reset Eradicator Epidemic Virus, which we'll talk about a little later, makes the Runick matchup very, very strong. Yeah, this card is just very good. It's also 2900 attack, which is beefy. There are like quite a few situations where you can actually OTK with this deck using this card and Lord of the Heavenly Prison, which I'll mention in a bit. Here, other Labrynth cards, Labrynth Dove and Labrynth Chandelier, I'm just going to call it that. These cards are kind of bad, honestly. I know some lists are playing like 3 of each of them, but I think that's crazy. Like, they're a straight -1 in card advantage. Usually you're going to be setting Welcome Labrynth. They don't allow you to activate them this turn. It just sets the trap, so normal trap rules apply, so you have to wait a turn to activate them. And if you get Ash on this, you want like -2. It's really bad. But they do have hand effects and hand/graveyard effects. Well, the effect to set can be used from the hand or field, and then the graveyard effect allows for some recursion, allows you more access to engine. I think having like 1 of each is fine. They get very cloggy if you play more of them. You want to have like traps that are actually like impactful and can disrupt your opponent. So I'm not gonna play more than 1 of these. Might even cut them entirely once the new Labrynth monster comes out. Then we have Absolute King Backcheck. This card is insane for this deck. He's a fiend, which synergizes with all of these. They're all fiends. If you send to the graveyard, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck and arrange them in any order. This is great for stacking your draws. And then during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, where you can reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal trap, you can set it directly to your field, and it can be activated that turn. So I think the strength of this card is very obvious. Sometimes if you don't have any other normal summon as well, it's nice to just normal summon it, link it off with Link Karibo, and then you can use its effect and then grab like a trap during your opponent's turn. It also allows for more skill expression because deciding what you draw for turn and deciding how to play around Runick spells, which banish cards from the top of your deck, it creates like a very interesting dynamic. And also deciding what you want to draw with Ariana or like Ariane for their effect. Yeah, this card is extremely good. You can play 3, but I think 2 is fine. And like one of the strengths of the furnitures, that's what people call these, I guess, is if you open them plus Blackjack, like during your opponent's first turn, you can actually have potentially interaction there. But I don't know, it's not super reliable. Then for our other Labrynth cards, we have Labrynth, which is the field spell. It's very powerful. It changes one of your your Welcome Labrynth normal trap. It basically changes the effect to like it does the first part of it, which is special summon a Labrynth from deck, and then it adds this part of the effect to it, which is destroy 1. You can destroy a card on the field. And the reason this is powerful is that it makes it so that this counts as removing a monster from the field by your normal trap effect, since the field spell's effect is treated as your trap's effect, which is really good. And again, this is a non-targeting destroy, so it's kind of difficult for your opponent to interact with. And because of that, this card is a target. It will get removed like fairly often, but honestly, if they remove this and not some of your other more powerful traps, that's perfectly fine. It has another effect to special summon one of your fiends, which is from a hand or graveyard, which is awesome. So you can, and any fiend, so you can special Lovely as well, or Ariana, or even Backcheck if you want to. Just a very good card. And again, I don't feel the need to play more than 2 of this when you can play traps. Then the final Labrynth card is Welcome Labrynth. It's like an emergency teleport. Special summon a Labrynth from your deck. Also until the end of this turn, to the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the deck or extra deck except fiend monsters. So they just keep that restriction in mind, but it also has another effect if a monster leaves the field by your normal trap effect. Again, same activation condition while it's in your graveyard. Except the turn it was sent there, you can set this card. The one thing to note with this is it doesn't say you can only use 1 effect per turn. So if you have like 1 copy of Labrynth on the field and 1 in the graveyard, you can use the one on the field and then later use the one in the graveyard, the other one in the graveyard, to set it to your field, as long as it was sent there last turn or before this turn. yeah, it's a very good card. You definitely play 3 of it. Like I said, the engine is like kind of low in this deck. It's like you're not playing very many monsters, so you need more ways to access it, and then comboing with the field spell is really good. It's a very good card. Now let's go into the non-Labrynth cards. We have 2 Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This card is absolutely ridiculous. I was playing 3 of it, but I felt that it was becoming a little too clunky. I was seeing it too often, but I don't think it's wrong to play 3 of it. This card is like, extremely good. You've probably seen it in, if you played against Eldritch, it can be very annoying to deal with, but that's good for us because it means your opponent can't just like Harpies or Lightning Storm you for your entire life savings. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. He's a 3000 attack dark monster as well, which makes him basically a 1-card Eradicator virus. And the fact that you can set any spell trap from your deck is just stupid. Like, it's just messed up. The card is just insane. Absolutely play. I'd absolutely play at least 2 of it. 3 is maybe correct, but I think 2 is fine. At least with the ratios of the decks that I was running into. Yeah, this card also just makes the Runick matchup so much easier. It's like they can't just destruction your spells and traps. You can like wait till their end phase to activate one of your sets, special summon him, set Eradicator, and then end the game on the next turn. Let's go into the consistency cards. Oh, it's just 3 Pot of Extravagance. One of them being a Royal Rare. Extravagance is pretty self-explanatory. Allows you to draw 2 cards. That's it. That's the card. Yeah, nothing to say there. You may want to. Actually, there is one thing to say there. Is that the extra deck is a little bit suspect here, but that's really for budget reasons. I was running low on ultra rare gems at the time. I did not want to waste money. Well, I didn't want to spend any money. This is my alt account. I'm not going to spend money on it. And I also don't want to waste gems on this. I don't want to save up for other decks. But you definitely want to play a multiple Entis if you have them. Like multiple Linkaribo or like Solomon Great Almirage in addition. Even though they're ultra rares. Yeah, but I think it's fine. Like, I guess I got lucky with my banishes because I never banished Entis when I needed it. Next for our disruptions, we have 3 Ash and 3 Imperm. I wasn't playing these cards originally, but I just feel like it's necessary. Like Ash is like really just versatile. Being able to like Ash your opponent's draw 3 from the Runick spell, field spell is just nice. Imperm, while it doesn't remove monsters from the field, so it doesn't have like the best synergy, it's still a normal trap, so you can set it back off of Lovely Labrynth, and then the fact that it's a hand trap makes matchups like Adamantipator's potentially winnable, whereas otherwise they're just like, it's horrible. You just can't win those without having some kind of interaction during their turn. And now let's go into the other normal traps. We have Compulse. Compulse is extremely good for this deck. You probably compulse your own monsters just as much as you do to your opponents, because it allows you to like proc your field spell, summon them back, get the search effect again, like of Ariana, and yeah, it's just a great disruption. It's non-destructive, so I mean, yeah, it bypasses some forms of protection. Yeah, it's just a very solid card. You can definitely play 3 of it, but again, like I said, I wanted to fit in Imperm and Ash, so it's up to personal preference. Then 2 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card is actually ridiculous. It saw quite a bit of play in the TCG because, well, there are cards called Bestials that basically allow you to activate this card very easily. But it's not good in every format, but in this format with Runicks, this is a 1-card instant win. Well, not 1 card, you need a dark monster with 2500 or more attack. But yeah, you distribute them, declare a spell against Runick, it's game over. There's literally like no way they can come back from it. Because like even if they chain Hugin to protect their field spell, it doesn't matter. They're just gonna draw. They can draw up the field spell. Everything they draw just gets destroyed immediately. And for the next 3 turns, or everything that they draw is gonna get destroyed. So you have time to just set up, attack for lethal, or even get Lovely Labrynth, reset the card again. It's just an absolute blowout. And same against Eldritch, it shits on those decks. I think it was necessary to have these in this deck. Maybe if Runick gets nerfed, which hopefully it will, you may not need this card, and it may not be as good. And we get Swordsoul and Despia running around. They're still very common decks. Dimensional Barrier is ridiculous as well. I think this card should be banned, honestly. I've called for it to be banned in the TCG. It's so irritating to play against. It just like makes the games like very unfun. especially in side deck formats. But yeah, here it's just a blowout. It's a turn skip against Swordsoul and Despia. Not much to say there, but you can also use it against pendulums. Don't forget that. That's very important because like pendulum FTK is also like pretty popular. So being able to call pendulum is huge. And you can also call ritual, but that didn't really happen. Xyz also makes it a automatic win against Numerons. They just cry when you do that. Yeah, D-Berry is pretty good. 2 Trap Trick. One of them is Royal. Yeah, Trap Trick is like very self-explanatory. There's no reason not to play it in this deck. Again, you could play 3. Same thing, space issues. But yeah. Trap Trick can search any normal trap. It does what it says, but also keep in mind that you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of this turn after it resolves. But that's only after it resolves. So you can like activate Trap Trick and chain another trap, and then after all that resolves, you still get to do 1 more trap activation because it only counts after Trap Trick is resolved. Yeah, it allows you to search Eradicator, D-Barrier, even welcome Labrynth whenever you need that. Self-explanatory. We have Dogmatica Punishment, one of the best removal normal traps in the game. Yeah, it's just really good. Like, it's just an insane card. Obviously, it locks you out of your extra deck for the end of the next turn, but who cares? You don't really need to. You're rarely going to be summoning from your extra deck. Not that much. Yeah, so this is why you have like some high attack targets inside the extra deck, like 5-headed dragon, just for anything with like, that's the highest attack that you can get. But then also Other Entity Antis gives you more value because then you can just pop another card after if you're able to do that. Yeah, it's just a very good card. What about that? And then Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch. This card I have mixed feelings about. It is a really good card when you resolve it, but having to have a Fiend on field can be like quite annoying. There are a lot of situations where your one Fiend gets like removed, or if you just don't have a normal summon, you just draw this and no Fiends. But if you do draw it, it's really good. You can like pop any card on the field, send backjack, search another trap from your top 3 cards, set that, and then yeah, it's a really good card. So I would still play it, even though it has like, there are cases where it's going to be dead. When it's not dead, it's extremely versatile. It's only like, yeah, lets you just pop anything. Also not once per turn. And then 2 Solemn Judgment. Again, like another kind of meta call. This card is just ridiculous as well. It's one of the oldest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh's history and still sees so much play because it's just bonkers. And the fact that you can negate summons also just makes it good against like most matchups, like almost every matchup. I found myself judgmenting pendulum summons quite a few times and it just makes them surrender immediately. It's horrible. Yeah, also another way to protect from Harpies and Lightning Storm. You're not always going to draw Lord. And evenly matched, yeah. I would recommend playing Judgment, even though it's not a normal trap. Again, like the synergy is not as great, but it's so high impact. And like the fact that it's spell speed 3 also as a counter trap is very relevant against Runick. Because like if you activate like Glitch targeting their field spell, they can chain something to special summon, and then if you chain again, or like another effect to destroy it, they can chain another one to special summon you again to protect it. So this just cuts all of that off. Solemn Judgment just says no. And yeah, it's just a very klutz card. Also against Eldritch, against Swordsoul, negating their Synchro Summon is very powerful. Very, very good card. Now into the extra deck. There's quite a bit of flexibility here, obviously, since you're not going to be going into it very much, but these are some good options to have. Like I said, like if you're able to play like multiple Entis, that's good, but it is an ultra rare, so I get that you may not be able to. So yeah, this is to send off of Dogmatica Punishment. Skull Knight is also another option to send off of Dogmatica Punishment. He's not quite as good as Entis, but on the follow-up turn, you can use him to banish and like pop a monster. And since he is a super rare, that's just one thing to keep in mind. And same thing with Skull Wagon. I just put this in like last minute. He's a common, which is cool. For some reason I have 2 5-headed dragons. I think one of them you get for free when you get the game. I don't know where the second one came from. I definitely didn't craft it, but I just put it in to have the highest possible attack value for one of my things to send off of punishment. And it actually did come up a couple times where one of them got banished off of Extravagance and having the other one was nice. And then we have Wind Pegasus at Ignister, a card that literally nobody reads and can actually just win games. Like whenever you resolve this card, it actually is usually just game over because your opponent puts themselves in a situation where they have like access code. They're trying to go for lethal. They pop one of your cards. You just go, okay, Wind Pegasus, shuffle it into the deck, and then your opponent just like pauses for like 10 seconds and then like surrenders. Yeah, I think this card is definitely really good to have. If you don't have Entis, you definitely send this as one of your options. And then like you have a Zeus package, DDD, Wave King Caesar. Since you have level 4 Fiends with these two, you can go into Wave King Caesar and then overlay Marksman King Tell on top of that, and then attack, go into Zeus with 4 materials. I never ended up doing that, but it's a nice option to have. The fact that they're both super res is cool. Baguska is also a very good option against like Floowandereeze or like Despia. It's against quite a few decks. They have trouble dealing with this card. It buys you time to get to your removal traps. So I think this card is basically mandatory. He's also a Fiend, which is cool. He doesn't look like a Fiend, but he is. Linkaribo, this is for backjack. You can also play like Solomon Great Almirage, but I think this card is definitely the best like Link 1 to have if you had to choose one, because it can also be used. It has a graveyard effect, so if you draw like another backjack, you can normal summon it and then use the effect to tribute that. And yeah. Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn, the 3 nightmares. These are Fiends, which is cool. And yeah, I mean, I think they're just very good generic options. They also just like win games when you go into them. You're not going to make them often, like I said. You're not going to use the extra deck quite as much as with other decks, but they are probably the best options to have. Access code, this can be anything else. Probably Underworld Goddess if you have that, because that is also a Fiend, I believe. As like an out to big problematic boss monsters that this deck otherwise can't deal with, like Arrival at Ignister, but it's not that important. If you have it, you can put it in. But yeah, that is the gist of the deck profile. I don't think there's anything else I need to add here. I'm going to show quite a bit more replays for this one because the deck is like obviously very different from a combo deck and the stuff that I've usually shown on this channel, and there are like a lot of different interactions that it helps to highlight. And plus you get to see me absolutely shitting on Runick players and resolving Eradicator. Now a match against everyone's favorite deck, Runick. So I'm going second. He does his bullshit. Banish top card. Banish his trap trick, which is unfortunate because that's a way to get to Eradicator. I do have Lord, which is cool. Grabs Tikaboo, which is kind of annoying, but it's fine. End phase, I'm going to set Labrynth. Then we draw, activate the field spell. This is threatening a non-targeting pop. I just changed this here. It's not going to actually... Yeah, I won't be able to pop because the field spell hasn't resolved yet. So we're just going to pop that, which hurts. Now he gets to draw 3. It's looking bad, but I'm just going to activate Lord. Set 2, pass. Now he summons from his extra monster zone, or to his extra monster zone. I go Torrential. So allow me to set Welcome Labrynth and use this. So he thinks that that's Eradicator, which is a perfectly reasonable guess to make, but it's not. So I set Eradicator from my deck. But he pops the Lord, which is fine because I have Welcome Labrynth. So now I'm just going to use Welcome Labrynth. Hope he doesn't have Ash. Oh, well, he has the pop for the Eradicator. Summon lovely Labrynth. Now I'm going to attempt to pop it. He has Unending Nightmare, which doesn't do anything. And now I'm going to set the Eradicator. And there we go. That's the game plan against Runick's. It's the Turbo Out Eradicator Epidemic Virus. They have like several ways of stopping you, but you can play through it like you just saw. Next we have another match against Runick. This one is from my stream. I forgot to save the replay for this one. So it's just a YouTube VOD that I'm showing. You can check it out on my channel and go to live if you want to see me rage. And also clap Runick players, but also rage. Because this game tilts me. Anyways, activate Lord, set 2. It's pretty lackluster. So with Linkuriboh, I did normal summon Blackjack and link it off. I could just keep the Blackjack on field, but since I had the Archfiend glitch. So now that trap's not live, but I just wanted to get a trap now. It's a rough call. Goes Duality. Runick, you're going to save the Ash, obviously. You're not going to Ash Duality. Goes Tip, that's fine, whatever. Again, the game plan is still to turbo out Eradicator as quickly as possible, but also you got to be patient. You can't just like the thing with Runick is that if you get too aggressive, like if you just start committing a bunch of monsters to board, you're going to lose faster because they'll just keep popping your monsters or negating them and then banishing more cards off the top of your deck. So you have to be like pretty conservative with it. Like Lord of the Heavenly Prisons is so good in this matchup because it allows you that like flexibility. You can wait till end phase to like activate something, and just you can activate any normal trap. You can just activate D barrier like at the end phase, even if it's not gonna do anything. Since he used Pot of Duality, he's not even gonna be able to fusion summon, but you can still use it just because it's a set card that you activate, and then summon Lord, search Eradicator. And they always open Card of Demise. I don't know why, but they always have it. Oh, and this guy has Desires as well. He's kind of... It's not looking good for me. He's spiraling out of control. He's going to banish more cards. This may look like the game's already over, but it's still winnable. Still winnable. So you gotta be patient, wait till end phase. Okay, now you do the good shit. So Blackjack, Backjack. I keep saying Blackjack, but it's Backjack. Set Welcome. I think this is the one where I made a really big misplay, but it's fine. Alright, so summon Lovely. Then I go Lord. Yeah. I don't know why I did this, but I almost threw the game by doing this. So I used Glitch, I think, to pop the middle set for no reason. And then, of course, his last fucking card in hand. Guess what it is? Take a guess. I'm sure you'll get it right. It's Runick Destruction, so he pops the Eradicator. Yeah, there's no reason for me to do that. I should have just popped the field spell. Or just not used Glitch. Doesn't matter. It's not good, but Backcheck lets me stack my draw so I can draw Ariana for turn. Oh yeah, the upside of the YouTube highlight is that it can actually show you what I have for Backjack. Whereas the Master Duel replays don't show you that. So he has 4 sets, but I have Eradicator, so he needs like Solemn Judgment or Bust. I'm sorry, no, I don't have Eradicator because I messed it up, but I will have it very soon. And then he better have Solemn or Bust. Patience. It's nice to think about whether to pop in draw phase if he has the Flashing Fire. Tikaboo, annoying, but at least Ariana resolves. Obviously keeping Lovely on field. Search for another Welcome. Yeah, Tikaboo can still be played around because of Welcome. Try to get Eradicator. Resolves. and it's over. Easy clip. This case is an example of an option of why you could play a card like Max C. I was playing it before. It does allow you some versatility in matchups like this. So I'm playing against Pendulum FTK, aka I have to do something or I lose. Need some interaction on his first turn. I do have Max C. And obviously this is, you can play Max C, you don't have to, but this is one situation where you would want it. Basically I need to draw into Stove and pitch Blackjack and set something like Dimensional Barrier. Eradicator's not going to help me right here. It's a bit late for that. So opponent is going through his Pendulum plays. He's going to keep special summoning because he's going for an FTK. Very fun and interactive, by the way. Nice job keeping Supreme King, Servant Venom legal, Konami. Good job. Okay, so now he scales up. More actions with cards that I don't read. I need to draw stuff. Luckily I draw it here. So I draw Welcome Labrynth, and I do see the D barrier. Okay, so then, in this case, since he has already Pendulum summoned and stuff, I'm not going to call Pendulum, I'm just going to call Fusion, just so he can't go into, yeah, you know. Appaloosa. Savage Dragon, okay. But I have many cards to deal with it. I'm gonna just try to bait out the Appaloosa. I have both Furnitures. So Appaloosa can only be used once per chain, it can't do that again. Savage Dragon negates it. Chain this, it's bait. Again. And target D barrier. He's gonna negate that. Could go to Battle Phase, but I know he has the Pendulum Graph, so we can pop. And I go for Cerberus, and I chain block it, which is hype. And I get the Colink draw one. Okay, so now he goes Pengraph, destroys the field spell. Wants to keep that off at all costs. Which makes sense. Look it over the Apo. Main 2, set. Get a Compulse, that's nice. Now he's gonna go into Vortex Dragon, which is the negate. Punishment that, he's gonna negate it. And Compulse it anyways, and then Chain Labrynth. This is like kind of what you want to do when you have Compulse. Like you activate a removal trap, then you chain Welcome Labrynth. Or you can use Welcome Labrynth preemptively. Either way, you just gotta understand how chains work. Here, I just click yes every time. I set Extrav, because, yeah, Lord is broken. And then I have Eradicator as well. Good measure. I don't need to do that, but yeah. Pretty good. That's like kind of how you have to win sometimes going second against FTK decks. Otherwise, it's like very rough. Another situation I want to show off is one in which your opponent has backrow removal. You're not always going to draw Solemn Judgment or Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and your opponent, a lot of people are still playing like Lightning Storm and Harpies. Even though it's not that great against Runick, but, you know, they're still playing it. Sometimes you get cooked, but there are some things you can do to potentially try to stay in the game. So, okay, basically what you want to do is, well, first, wait for them to do something. So you have Ghastly Glitch, which is nice. Okay, so I'm going to chain Ghastly Glitch to target... I probably shouldn't target the Harpies, I should target one of my traps to play around Droplet, but that's fine. Didn't end up mattering here, because what I'm trying to do is send Backcheck, which will let me set another trap later. But then I chain Compulse, targeting my own monster. And then I chain Welcome Labrynth. Special summon Lovely. This will allow me to destroy a card in my opponent's hand. Which is at least something. It may not be enough to win, but better than just losing, scooping after RP's Feather Duster, right? I destroy a thing. And then Backcheck lets me stack my deck. I pop his Pencil Plume, which is whatever. It doesn't really matter what he's playing, but That's what you want to do when you get like your back row nuked. You still have some potential plays. Okay, now this one is Never Surrender. A game that should not be winnable, but since you're playing on ladder, you never know with these Swordsoul players. You never know when a game is winnable. They don't scoop too early. So it goes for the, you know, the only play that Master Duel players know how to do is just cheese over and pass. Usually the game's like over in this situation, especially if that's blackout. It's very hard to come back from this as a trap deck. Drawing another field spell, that's pretty bad. So I do welcome Labrynth. He has to negate that or else his Baron gets destroyed. And then Cheech out negates my Ariana. So now I have Trap Trick. So the game is not over yet because I can still go into D barrier, which will potentially stop him, unless he has Protoss. If he has Protoss, I'm screwed. But did I have desires to potentially he doesn't have it. Alright, no, I went for Compulse here. Trying to remember why I did that. I did this match on stream. I don't remember exactly why I went for Compulse instead of D barrier. Yeah, either way. Like I said, I guess like because it wouldn't help for Syncers that are already on the field. He got talents. He tried to look at my hand. He puts in the Imprint Call like a Boza. It doesn't actually matter though, because just another field spell that won't do anything. So I didn't win because of the Imprint Column. And basically he's not about OTK because he has no follow up because he is a ladder player. Now we go welcome Labrynth. That's for someone lovely. Pop. And then I destroy a card on the field, which is going to be the Baron, obviously. And then I target Trap Trick. And then I'm threatening V Barrier for the next turn. So now it was... So I choose not to play around like Harpies, because like, you can't play around everything, you know. He has it, he has it. I want him to commit cards to the board before I use the Trap Trick. So once you use once Trap Trick resolves, you can't use any traps for the rest of the turn. But yeah, never surrender. Easy clap. And now for Betrayal. Playing against Marincess. Had to do it to him, but no. This is what I mean when like the deck takes skill, because it has to be matchup knowledge. If I didn't know the matchup, I would have definitely lost this one. So he goes Pascalis, summon. He might be going for an early Toad, but I think imperming Pascalis is too risky. There's just like too many extenders you could have in hand. You could have like Dive, you could have Blue Slug, you could have Sprint Girl. Like, so much. That's Seahorse, not Blue Slug. Yeah, he sends a Seahorse, so I'm just gonna be patient. Because this deck definitely has choke points. Again, too risky. There's really no reason to negate Blue Slug because you could excavate something off of Blue Tang, which he does. This deck is very good at playing through hand traps because most people use them suboptimally. I'm just gonna keep holding my stuff until I need to use them. So go Sea Angel, searches Battle Ocean. And then he goes into Anemone, standard Marincess stuff. If you want to see more Marincess, check out my video on Marincess. I did a climb with that on my main account this month. It is also a very fun deck that I enjoy. So then he goes Anemone. I'm contemplating negating it or using punishment since he needs to summon to the Link Arrow, but I'm like, nah. He's gonna get a card back anyways. I think he has an extender in hand that I know. So that goes into Bahamut. Now he's forcing something. I'm gonna use Welcome Labrynth here just to see if he has Ash. I don't want to like commit punishment and then get Ash and look like a bozo, but it is what it is. So now I have punishment. There was an argument for doing it before, but it's fine. I did still have Entis in my extra deck. Turn player gets to trigger effects first, and then I will get to activate both Lovely and Entis. They activate at the same time. I'm gonna pop a card in his hand as well. Obviously, he's gonna have like 7 cards in his hand, so it's unlikely that I hit anything relevant. And he should still be able to keep playing. But I do still have the Imperm for the Coral Triangle, which is what I am most worried about. So Dive plus Ocean is nice. It's special from deck. He's used all of his extenders by this point, I think. Except for Mandarin, so he summons that from deck. Oh yeah, no, and except Sprinkle. So now he's used all his extenders. Which I know because I played the deck. No, nothing to Imperm here, not yet. Anemone. I already used the effect. But you can still equip. Basically just go in big beat stick mode. That is all you can do at the moment. He's gonna go battle, beat over Lovely. That's fine. Can't really prevent him from hitting over it. So he'll go ahead and attack and take out Lovely. But I have like the field spell to reborn it from grave, and I have another one in hand. He sets some contemplating end phase using Lord. So I want to get that set. I don't want to pray that I get a good top deck. I want to ensure that I have a good card right now. So Lord, special, and set any spell or trap for my deck. So how do I get around this? D-Bear is useless because you can't call links, obviously, so I'm not setting that. Eradicator is not good here. Not when he has so much recursion. Yeah, this is like a very big decision, is what to set with Lord. You're not always going to set Extravagance. Usually you are, but not always. Sometimes you're going to have to set Compulse. Because if I destroy the Anemone, he's going to have a bunch of follow-up. The field spell's a really, really good draw. Like, probably the best draw in the deck. I'm going to Compulse that. He doesn't have access to Wave because I cut off access to Wave. And he didn't hard draw it. So that procs 2 effects that activates both Welcome and the field spell. Oh yeah, he had an equipped Anemone anyways. So, yeah. He still gets that follow-up, but the game is still not over. Anything could happen. And I do get a choice of what trap, or I can attempt to set any trap from my graveyard. He has 2 sets, so he probably has Imperm, but might as well bait it out. I think I targeted the punishment. Or no, maybe the Compulse. Yeah. Imperms it, obviously. Okay, nothing left to do in this turn except attack for damage. I do have the field spell and Welcome set. So that's a pop and that's 2 pops. 2 non-targeting pops. 1 can be his hand as well. So now my opponent is thinking how to beat this. So he uses dive to summon from deck. Another Pescalis. Gonna need to be really patient. I think I was contemplating destroying this here. I think I did actually. Because I know he has Seahorse in hand and I think one unknown. And I know he has Mandarin and Grave, so if he summons Mandarin now, that's another extender to have to deal with. So I'm going to clear his board now. Or at least try to. Now, luckily this resolves. I'm going to pop his monster. Then attempt to pop the other one. Yeah, by the way, when you summon Ariana from deck in a situation like this, you have two effects that you can choose from. Just make sure you look at which one is highlighted. Let me actually go back there. I'm gonna show you what it looked like on stream. So you can either use the effect to search or the effect to draw one, and yeah. So just look at which text is highlighted. It shows you two effects for the same card. Just pick the one that you want. One in blue text. So I think I chose to do the draw one. So I want to draw like Ash or something. So he imperms the lovely, obviously, so I don't nuke his board. I drew imperm, which is not great in this situation. But I guess it will be fine later. But I do get the special summon because I also happen to know that there's no way he's going to be able to game me through this. The deck is horrible at OTKing. And he's already locked out of going into access code. His last card in hand is his one extender that's left in deck, so that's best case scenario for my opponent. So then he goes into Anemone. I mean, I couldn't play around the one of Maiden, but I'm still in a winning position. I know his last card in hand. The best he can do right now is like a Coral Triangle, get wave, try to stall out. I think he went Marble. Did he go Marbled Rock or did he go Triangle? I forget. Yeah, he went Triangle. Anemone add back. Gonna skip ahead a little bit. Skip through the animation. Seahorse goes into Argonaut. So he has Argonaut plus wave. So he has one Spell Trap, negates, and a Beat Stick. And an Imperm. Should still be winnable for me though, but not necessarily straightforward. So Argonaut attack over. I have to bait out Argonaut, basically. And wave. And then get rid of the field spell. So he goes past turn because he can activate the wave from hand. Draw Ariane, which is actually like a decent draw in this situation. Because I need to like link. I saw that I still have Nightmare Phoenix in my extra deck, so I need to get rid of the field spell because otherwise I cannot out the boss monster. So he waves this, which is, yeah, an obvious choice. Otherwise I'm compulsing his shit back next turn. Now that I did that, I should be able to link climb into Nightmare Phoenix. And since I have two big beat sticks on board, this is actually game. Don't actually need to bait out Argonaut's negate after all. But yeah, he's unaffected by card effects, but he can still be destroyed by battle. He doesn't even bother activating an enemy, which is sad. But yeah, that's me flexing my matchup knowledge. That's all for my Labrynth video. Here is my ID for the Labrynth account, I guess if you want to follow that. There will be other decks on that in the future. Maybe Runick Sprite. We'll see. Definitely not pure Runick. Screw that deck. But there are going to be other decks that I'm interested in. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you. Peace.